Today, I would like to welcome you to the United Lodge of Theosophists in Washington, D.C. It's being held from its location in Manassas, Virginia, and today's talk will be the greatest of all wars. Before we start, a quick review of the three fundamentals of the Lodge of Theosophists. The first fundamental is omnipresent, eternal, and boundless, and immutable principle, and all-permeating, that we do not call as divine or God, but it is the principle that permeates all and always was and always will be. And the second principle is the eternity of the universe in total. And the important point here is that this principle, we affirm our belief that all the energy that is always present in the universe always remain in the universe, and we are part of that eternal cycle of the days and nights of Brahma. And the third principle is the cycles of birth and rebirth, and the laws of karma that govern us all. The United Lodge of Theosophists is open to all. There is no affiliation to any beliefs or in any contributions. So we would like to remind of the three fundamentals and affirm our commitment to understanding and learning the teachings of the Madam Blavatsky that we will do today in the talk, The Greatest of All Wars. And now I would like to introduce the reading.
Self-doomed to live through future kalpas, unthanked and unperceived by man, wedged as a stone with countless other stones which form the guardian wall. Such is thy future if the seventh gate thou hast, built by the hands of many masters of compassion, raised by their tortures, by their blood cemented. It shields mankind, since man is man, protecting it from further and far greater misery and sorrow. With all man seizes not, will not perceive it, nor will he heed the word of wisdom, for he knows it not. But thou hast heard it, and thou knowest all, O thou of eager, guileless soul, and thou must choose, then hearken yet again. On Soran's path and Shrodapati, thou art secure, I and the matter that Marga where not, but darkness meets the weary pilgrim, where torn by thorns the hands drip blood, the feet are cut by sharp unyielding flints, and Mara wields his strongest arms. There lies a great reward immediately beyond.
Well, friends, welcome. The greatest of all wars. This is a war, internal, if we fight. All of us do. It's the fight between the constant struggle of the higher self, spiritual self, and the lower material self. It's material self, when we're embodied, always wants to be in charge. And we have to fight to make sure to try to get that higher self in charge at all times. That's a very difficult thing to do. Very few of us can do it all the time. But with constant practice, we can succeed. So the war, there have been wars and rumors of wars in the heavens and on earth since recorded dation of time. B.P. Wadia, who discovered the United Lodge of Theosophists just after the death of Robert Crosby, who was on the scene in Los Angeles, and he was attracted to it and was very influential in starting this lodge and many other lodges around the world. He devoted part of his book on living the life specifically to the subject of the greatest of all wars, on the importance of our steadfast striving to overcome the tendency of letting the selfish lower self be in charge. This lower self is needed for temporary material existence. A higher self, Atma, or spirit, is universal and available for us to take part of to the degree that we have developed. The highest among us can get more out of this than the newer people, but everybody has a chance to get maximum out of it, like the masters. Okay, our spiritual soul, or Buddhi, is Atma's vehicle, and human soul, or manas, are the three aspects of Atma, Buddhi, the vehicle of Atma, and manas, which is the that is the higher self of us. I'll give you a little bit more definition later on. Our lower self is composed of four aspects: the animal soul, or Kamarupa, the astral body, or Linga Sarira, the vitality, or Pranajiva, and the physical body. All four of these aspects disappear at the end of each physical life. But our higher three aspects evolve from life to life and can be trained to have greater control over our lower four and become unselfish throughout our material existence, and back to the unselfish spiritual source from which we all came. We never were not, never would, never shall we not ever be. In times when we are embodied, we find ourselves in conflict between the lower self and accompanying personality and logical thinking needed to operate in this world and the higher spiritual self. Mr. Wadia noted that all family feuds, all class struggles, all national wars, and all religious crusades are but reflected ramifications of the internal strife between the higher and the lower selves in man. It just one person is that person, but then it becomes national karma and so forth. So that's what he's talking about. Family feuds, classic struggles, national wars, all that is internal. So that's a source internal. So for the student of occultism, one of the earliest lessons acquired is a realization that battles in the outside world are but shadowy replicas of those fought within us. The meaning and import of such wars will ever be missed as long as this great truth is not perceived. International wars would not precipitate themselves if class struggles, breed hatreds, and caste prejudices did not exist in nations. Competition between youth and age, or between man and woman, would not take place in a society if family religions of the right order and kinds of subsistence. Thus, we reach the individual who is at war with his neighbors and next of kin because his hands war against his head, his mind against his heart, or his pride against his principles. A struggle between a material and spiritual self is constantly going on. Students of Theosophy learn of the nature of this struggle, and the thoughtful among them acquire the knowledge of the relative strength of the combatants and their respective forces. If recruitment and recuperation, while the battle keeps going on. The triumph of spirit over matter, wisdom over ignorance, and love over hate must ultimately be must happen. We've got to beat that, all this. This theoretical understanding is of little avail while hatred is consuming love, fanning the fire of lust in our own nature. This distinction between a good man and a spiritual man. So first one is constant struggle between the higher spiritual and lower material self is what we just went over, and the impact on individuals, family, and relations. So this distinction between a good man and a spiritual man. Mr. Wiley echoes the words of the masters and their representatives in distinguishing between a good man and a spiritual man. Most of us think of ourselves as good men, but one must also be a spiritual man in occultism because we must be prepared to promulgate the truth no matter the ramifications. The few who come to realize the importance of Theosophy give it all they have. The conscious struggle between the higher and lower nature is intensified as one joins the ranks of occultists as foot soldiers, dedicated to the spiritual leaders on the right-hand path. We are to maintain our efforts until victory is won, until wisdom light streams forth from our hearts, ousting the darkness of ignorance, and until love radiates its justice and bliss from our minds, revealing the order in the midst of chaos. And an enlightened heart and a compassionate man are the marks of the spiritual man, higher, greater, and nobler than the good man. The earnest appliers of Theosophic teachings will leave the life of actual vice behind as they distinguish between it and the higher life. We are, however, apt to mistake the high life of negative goodness for the life of the spirit. The master wrote that, quote, "It is not enough that you should set the example of a pure, virtuous life and a tolerant spirit. This is but negative goodness, and for Chelaship will never do. Higher than negative goodness is positive spirituality." The outbreak of the war in the body politic is like a fever in the physical body. All wars are reflections of internal conflicts. The outer is a reflection of the inner. There are imperfect higher intelligences, not yet born as humans, that create conflicts which pass on to the below. Theosophy is dangerous to organized religion because it removes the idea of death. We are immortal. Only our bodies die. And God being the only one who metes out rewards and punishments. All of our conflicts come about when natural law helps us through our efforts, while the lower nature fights this progress. When a good person wants to become a spiritual and become a companion of the masters, an internal conflict ensues. Our inner passions come about and interfere. We must arouse within ourselves the will to prevail as we pursue the battle of ideas, which becomes fiercer as we evolve spiritually. The great Theosophist, known as Jesus, was hanged, and the limbs of another great Theosophist, Hypatia, were pulled apart. And then there was Gianno Bruno, who was burned. HPB, who was constantly exposed to ridicule. She said near the end of the preface to Avail that to show that we do not at all conceal from ourselves the gravity of our undertaking, we may say in advance that it would not be strange if the following classes should array themselves against us. 1, the Christians, who will see that we question the evidence of the genuineness of their faith. 2, the scientists, who will find pretensions placed in the same bundle with those of the Roman Catholic Church for infallibility, and in certain particulars, the sages and the philosophers of the ancient world classed higher than they. And then the pseudo scientists will of course denounce us, develop a healthy tone of thought. It will hardly fail to result ultimately in the overthrow of error and the triumph of truth. Men of letters and various authorities who hide their real belief in deference to popular prejudices. The mercenaries and parasites of the press who prostitute its more than royal power and dishonor a noble profession will find it easy to mock at things too wonderful for them to understand. For to them, the price of a paragraph is more than the value of sincerity. A good mother will continue to be only a good until circumstances compel her to consider the wisdom or unwisdom of her attitude to her own child, or the justice or injustice of her attitude to other children. Conflict of duties like this opens a vista of the world of spirit. A proper balance struck and sustained between different and conflicting duties transforms our goodness into spirituality. The higher life consists in right adjustment to our different duties into a harmonized doma, whereby the property of our ego becomes manifest. Everything and all beings have their respective properties. Some aspects of what have become observable, other aspects of which are still in a condition of latency. As latent aspect of our property, manifest, they often clash with those that have already found objective expression. Thus, conflicting ideas arises. Our Dharma is a means of our becoming. We are what we are because of our Dharma. By the fulfillment of Dharma, we grow. We become different from what we are. Herein, the basis of inner growth lies. The conflict between opposing and enduring forces. Mr. Judge reminds us that beauty is a royal talisman. Number 3, identify and study aspects of the philosophy, including those most helpful to our particular elements, which really means that we have to learn and understand this philosophy as much as possible. Spirit forces endure. These are spurious two forces of evil as well as goodness. The struggle against our lower nature is often construed as a struggle against vicious tendencies. It is not always recognized that we suffer from the defects of our qualities, a hard type of obstacle to overcome, because as a rule, we find and make excuses for it. Downright wrongdoing, we condemn even in ourselves. If by karmic propensity or for other reasons pertaining to the domain of the call to evil precipitations take place in our everyday life, we are able to recognize them as such. We have enough decency left in us to perceive that evil is evil and wrongdoing is wrong. There are precipitations of exaggerated virtues and manifold habits. It is difficult to see these exaggerations. Conflict of theosophical duties arises in relativity. The only power that can save us from erring is hard understanding of our philosophy. We must possess adequate knowledge of our general principles and propositions. We ought to closely study the specific theosophical teachings that form answers to our intimate and personal problems. We have a personality that is learning the ways of the impersonal. It has tendencies that we desire to demolish. It has no modes of expression that we desire to change. An earnest man who wants to live the life should learn to choose from the vast body of our teachings those specific ones that will help and enable him in his struggles against his lower self. All our problems, be they of the ego or of the personality, of the self or spirit, or of the self or matter, have their solutions in our philosophy. The infinite complexities of mind and morals are treated therein. Discriminatingly, we ought to search for those that are medicine for our particular illness. Number 4, scientific understanding is needed. The maintenance of a constant struggle against our lower nature ought to be a scientific process. A mere desire to keep the body in health does not make it healthy. A scientific understanding and application of body laws prove effective, and so it is with psychic and spiritual help. Spiritual studies from this personal standpoint clears the obstacles that conflicting duties create. Our lower nature is confined to lives of a lower grade of evolution. Our higher nature organisms are built of intelligence of a more elevated type. Each is trying to manifest its respective property, dharma, and hence the eternal conflict. In the war between the higher and the lower self, Mr. Judge says, in the antecedent words of the Bhagavad Gita, can be read in many different ways, each depending on the view taken. That is, whether it is considered in its application to the individual or to cosmogenesis or to the evolution of the astral world or the hierarchies in nature or to the moral nature and so on. As above, so it is below. If there is a conflict above it, there is a conflict below. The third fundamental deals with the fundamental identity of all souls with the universal oversoul and the obligatory pilgrimage of every soul through all the kingdoms. There is a nation. The souls evolve through by natural impulse up to the human stage, when they must progress through our own effort. The many wars refer to the struggles of spiritual, cosmical, astronomical adjustment, but chiefly to the evolution of man as he is now. In the human kingdom, one must acquire knowledge to ascend beyond the physical plane. Krishna says he incarnates for the preservation of the just and the destruction of the wicked. Guidance in devotional. These devotional some of my mainstays. The voice of the silence. We heard from first in the order, not the words more important than the other, but make sure I get it, mention them all. Okay, the Bhagavad Gita. That is this one. Content galleries, you'll have aphorisms. You'll have that. Yeah, that's here. Right on the path, which is right here. I'm going to read it. And the Dhammapada, which is this right here. And I don't know if I mentioned that it's the selection from the Upanishads and Ka King. All of those are very important, and they give you a little hints of what you need to do, and the details of we find in all this literature and secret doctrine and so forth. So I will just read a little bit from light on the path. And you can find similar things in all the devotional literature, and you should focus on those that your heart tells you to focus on. These rules are virtues for all disciples. Attend to them. Before the eye can see they must be incapable of tears. That get someone to continue on to, I'll tell you when to start. Because my eyesight is not, before the years is here.
Until when?
I'll tell you when to stop, right? It's about a page or two.
These rules are written for all disciples. Attend you to them. Before the eyes can see, they must be incapable of tears. Before the ear can hear, it must have lost its sensitivities. Before the voice can speak in the presence of the masters, it must have lost the power to wound. Before the soul can stand in the presence of the masters, its feet must be washed in the blood of the heart. Kill out ambition, kill out desire of life, kill out desire of comfort. Work as those work who are ambitious. Respect life as those do who desire it. Be happy as those are who live for happiness. Seek in the heart the source of evil and expunge it. It lives fruitfully in the heart of the devoted disciple as well as in the heart of the man of desire. Only the strong can kill it out. The weak must wait for its growth, its fruition, its death. And it is a plant that lives and increases throughout the ages. It flowers when the man has accumulated unto himself innumerable existences. He who will enter upon the path of power must tear this thing out of his heart, and then the heart will bleed, and the whole life of the man seem to be utterly dissolved. This ordeal must be endured. It may come at the first step of the perilous ladder which leads to the path of life. It may not come until the last. But, O disciple, remember that it has to be endured, and fasten the energies of your soul upon the task. Live neither in the present nor the future, but in the eternal. This giant wheat cannot flower there. This blood upon existence is wiped out by the very atmosphere of eternal thought. Kill out all sense of separateness. Kill out desire for sensation. Kill out the hunger for growth.
That's a good place to start. So this is just an example of some of the things that you would read in these little books here, and they look, points for daily pondering. And if you want more detail, there's plenty of that to cover all those points that we then. I would also recommend that if the greatest of all wars was given on January 26, 2014. It's on our website. It's called The Greatest of All Wars, 01-26-14. After clicking on the video of the selected talks, you would get this title. The speaker, before he left his body, demonstrated great enthusiasm in many. Sandra, I think you were there when Dupree did that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a marvelous job of showing his enthusiasm for all of this material and picking it apart of his life. He made points, including use of these devotional books as commanders in focusing on the highest within us as we fight this greatest of all wars. That speaker, if the masses have not already called him out already, I believe it will do so as he continues his work in a new body. His voice of the silence also has it's very much along the line. And some of these others, they just have different words and saying that same thing. So So if there's, if there are any questions, please, do we leave our, internet?
No, I don't think so.
No, well, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay. You can see you with happy faces there. So I will read a little bit from the books, and please stop me and if you have a question or comment. Well, Bhagavad Gita, extracted from the science book by Mr. George, which is right here. We heard it from the voice in the introduction. It says, thou readest for those that may not be lamented, whilst thou sentiment are those to be expounders of the letter of the law. Those who are wise in spiritual things grieve neither for the dead nor the living. I myself never was not, nor thou, nor all the princes of the earth, nor shall we ever hereafter cease to be. One who is confirmed in this belief is not disturbed by anything that may come to pass. These finite bodies, which envelop soul, inhabiting them, are said to belong to him, the eternal, the indestructible, unprovable spirit, who is in the body. Wherefore Arjuna resolved to fight. Arjuna resolves. Selections from these comics. Let's try that for a minute. Interesting. Pages 25 to 26. Thus far of him who is under desire. Now, as to him who is free from desire, who is beyond desire, who has gained his desire, from whom the spirit is his desire, from whom the life powers do not depart. Growing one with the eternal, there is this verse. When all desires that were hid in the heart are let go, the mortal becomes immortal and reaches the eternal. Sounds straightforward and easy. It's something we have to struggle with all the time. The best soldiers are not warlike. The best fighters do not lose their temper. The greatest conquerors are those who overcome their enemies without strife. The greatest directors of men are those who yield place to others. This is called the virtue of not striving, the capacity for directing mankind. This is being the conqueror of heaven. It is the highest goal of the ancients. The voice of the silent. We heard from that earlier. Having become indifferent to objects of perception, the pupil must seek out the Raja of the senses. The thought producer, he who awakens illusion. The mind is the great slayer of the real. Let his disciple slay the slayer. For when to himself his form appears unreal, as do on waking all the forms he sees in the dreams. When he has ceased to hear the many, he may discern the one, the inner sound which fills the hour. Then, only then, not till then, shall he foresee the region of Asak, the false, to become unto the realm of Sat, the true. Before the soul can see, the harmony within must be obtained, and fleshly eyes blind to all illusion. Before the soul can hear, the image man, has to become as deaf to roarings as to whispers, to cries of bellowing elephants, as to the silvery buzzing of the golden firefly. Before the soul can comprehend and may remember, she must attune to silencing be united just as the form in which he played molded. The spirit fixed first united with the potter's mind. For then the soul will hear and will remember, and then to the inner ear will speak the voice of the silence. Cry of thy thoughts unclean before they overpower me. Use them as they will be. For if thou sparest them, and they take root and grow, know well these thoughts will overpower and kill thee. Before, look at, before disciple, suffer not, even though it be their shadow to approach. For it will grow, increase in size and power, and then the thing of darkness will absorb thy being before thou hast will realize the black fall of the monster's presence. There is but one road to the path. At the very end, alone, the voice of the silence can be heard. The ladder by which the degenerate ascends is formed of rungs of suffering and pain, and those can be silenced only by the voice of their virtue. Woe then to the disciple, if there is one single vice thou hast not left behind. For then the ladder will give way and it won't overthrow thee. His foot rests in the deep mire of thy sins and failings. And ere thou canst attempt to cross this flood abyss of matter, thou hast to lay thy feet in waters for renunciation. So those are the kinds of things you will get in a real nutshell in all these books. And a word for the those who want to become foot soldiers. The masses always need to see people outside, but you have to decide to do it. They're not going to come and try to recruit you. You have to internalize all these truths and become the path. It's said here. And they will recognize that. It's like they are sitting at the top of a mountain and they see these lights in the bottom, and they pick you out. And that's how it's done. And there is no limit. Like we in the corporate world, only one person can be pretty CEO, only one can be other things. There's no limit to the top. We can all be up there. So my little pitch for becoming a foot soldier. And also, we're not judged on our abilities. We're judged on our sincerity to the teachings, and our overall trying to do the right thing at the right time, and that is a major challenge. So this takes lifetimes for most people. I think for everyone, I don't know when, and I've never heard of an adult becoming, unless one like Krishna or something like that, to teach us. We evolve in that direction until we become one. And that's a major challenge, and that's what we face with. We can do that and try to touch the inner lives of those around us, or we can just continue on our merry way, and if we can do that. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Yes. Do you think with the technology we have and phones and the internet and instant anything, do you think it's harder to follow the path now than it was in the past?
I think, well, we have more opportunity to see what the path is. Yeah, I mean, these opportunities are endless through the internet and so forth. I think that I see more opportunities than challenges. Yes, there are challenges because you have to discriminate very wisely, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's misleading and so forth. So you have to make it part of your own. You have to find the truth. The truth is there's only one truth. There are variations of the truth, but you have to keep at it until it is close to the truth as you can get while you embody it. So does anybody else have any comments on that?
Yeah, comment and question. So in the voice of the silence, the disciples are asked to blend his mind and soul before even embarking on this great battle. Can you expand a little more on that?
Blend the mind and the soul?
Yeah.
Yes. It's very important to have the soul recharge of the mind. The mind can be a very intellectual process if you let the mind take over. So it has to be spiritual. That's the soul part, and that is also the intellectual part certainly has an important role there, as long as it is guided by the spiritual or the mind.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah. Oh, we got 8 minutes. We should finish early today.
I was thinking of the Leo Tolstoy quote that the battle is within us and the battlefield is our heart.
That is right. We always want to have that heart charge.
Yeah.
Yes, it's got to be an intelligent. So the mind has certainly you got to use it right, and it takes lots of practice to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the important thing is not to wait until tomorrow. If something comes before you today, you tackle that with what resources you have today. Don't think that tomorrow it should be better. You might figure it out a little bit better than tomorrow. You can figure, go back and maybe rethink it if you wanted to, or maybe if you get this opportunity to act in the future, maybe you can do a better job, but it's important to try to do what you can do at the moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, there's times that it's a major challenge. It's a lifetime of, you know, trial and error. And if you figure out the philosophy, there's not as much error in the process. So, you have to, like I said, read this, have a somewhat have an understanding of what is the first fundamentals, apply to all of nature and all secret doctrine and all this material here. It sounds well, it is because the first fundamental is beyond human comprehension. So if we keep trying at it, we learn to a little bit more. But it's a lifetime of it's many lifetimes to close that gap, and I don't think it's the rule and biting unless we even that the way I understand it, of depth have to keep working on it too. They might they're perfected beings, but they can fall. So they always have to be on guard too, to try to do what's right and to use their influence in the right way.
I have a thought of what was said on that. When there is something presents before you now, you deal with it now, with the resources you have now.
That's right.
And that's also an answer to a big challenge that we create, because that we like to complicate things, and we
Yeah.
complicate things in the pause between problem and our solution. That's where all of the overthinking and complication comes.
Yeah.
So if you have the problem, you deal with it now, the resources you have, you stop complicating life.
Mhm.
Because complication is not in action, it's in overthinking.
Yeah.
That's really a good takeaway.
We always, like these masters, they always need foot soldiers. The Theosophy, we always have need for help too. So
Mhm.
we will, we're happy to receive whatever you have to offer, and we will,
Mhm. Yeah. On this, maybe is a very dangerous word. It is, and it is.
it is, yeah, maybe it's.
Maybe it's dangerous.
Yeah. We gotta try. Try is also, like, so we have to try, but trying is also has a negative concept too. Because you have to, as we're trying, we gotta try to, get better.
Mhm. And I remember the talk about the Gnostics talking about animals, that they are in some ways ahead of us.
Right?
And I was thinking that we departed from animal kingdom in all of this overthinking and not reacting to what is here now.
Right.
Because animals do not, they see challenge, threat, they react right now, then they rest.
Mhm.
They don't postpone anything to tomorrow. They don't have concept of tomorrow.
Yeah, the animal has perfect knowledge, within their limits.
Mhm.
And we, as humans, have the judgment that we bring in,
Mhm.
factor in. And that is important to be able to do that. because, you know, to do something, it's one, it's fine, but to do with the right motive, that's what we have to do as humans. Yeah.
And we actually create it in our mind tomorrow
Mhm.
when there is only now. So if we approach things as it's only now, we act in the right manner, but it is an illusion that we created, that there is some tomorrow.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, we got less than a minute, so we won't stop you if you don't get it all in that fashion, but if you have any more comments, we'll be happy to take them. Otherwise, we will close this part of the meeting and take a few minutes to refresh ourselves, maybe 5 minutes, and regroup to
Or let's make it 10. There's too many of
10
us.
minutes.
to refresh and find.
We never got.
No, never.
We always say 5 minutes and no show up. Yeah. Okay, 10 minutes. Is that okay? I'll back out there in the
Sounds good.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, it's good.
10 minutes.
Thank you.